So Feinstein's office has been involved for several years now. We've also petitioned her in her role as the Senate in the Senate Judiciary Committee as a member there of some of the other crimes against our judicial system. And you can see with inventions like zoom and pan on a digital camera hinging on these legislative actions, there's a whole lot of people and a whole lot of things that have to change for us to get these patents back in our name. But, I trust in our system, even when it's been overtaken by a coup, to correct itself. And we'll get to that in a bit. But I think Feinstein's well on her way to, getting that legislation approved for us and protecting the inventors as the Constitution demands that Congress do. So, on top of that, we filed a federal complaint with allegations of fraud on the United States and fraud against the Iviewit shareholders with the DOJ, the Department of Justice, including the Antitrust Division and the FBI West Palm Beach office. The FBI West Palm Beach office began a formal investigation, and I gave volumes, CD volumes, DVD volumes of evidentiary information, original documents, to Special Agent Stephen Lucchese and Doogie Howser, who I mentioned before. And Lucchese actually, after taking it to the U.S. Attorney's office in Florida, stated that he was leaving the West Palm Beach office of the FBI and going to work with the U.S. Patent Office's modes regarding the crimes against the United States. And I contacted Modes, who later confirmed that Lucchese was, in fact, working jointly with the USPTO. And again, this is such a massive crime, Dick, that even though those actions started several years ago, I'm sure the files are huge. Of course, on the other hand, strangely, Dick, Lucchese since actually didn't just leave to the Patent Office, he's actually disappeared from the FBI. Where at first, when I contacted them a little while ago, they claimed he had retired early, and that was according to the new agent. And they then even claimed that the entire FBI Iviewit file was missing from both the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office in Florida, where Lucchese had taken the matters. And this resulted in my Department of Justice complaints elevating directly to the Inspector General Glenn Fine's office. Dick, this has resulted in my DOJ complaints elevating directly to the Inspector General Glenn Fine's office and the DOJ FBI Office of Professional Responsibility, which federally oversights U.S. attorneys and DOJ employees. So these actions all remain ongoing as well. Additional new complaints have recently been filed for some new crimes we've discovered with Attorney General Eric Holder, and these are a whole host of brand new cover-up crimes which have been exposed, interestingly enough, Dick, by a New York Supreme Court whistleblower, my hero, Christine C. Anderson, in a legally related case to my ongoing federal RICO and antitrust lawsuit, where she just came out and she blew the whistle on the whole group of dirty, rotten lawyers, judges, prosecutors, and she even named some of them. But, Dick, I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll get to Anderson's case in a minute. So back to where we were. We next filed federal complaints with the Small Business Administration for fraud and theft. In fact, those remain ongoing today with the Inspector General's office there. And this was for theft of cash, money stole right out of the company's accounts. And one day we had $3 million and the next day we had none. And that money was in fact used in part to attempt to bribe employees. When they got busted, they were fleeing. We were firing everybody. So Utley was being terminated. And on the way out the door, they not only robbed the bank accounts, they tried to use that money to bribe employees of my company to aid and abet them in stealing highly secretive trade secrets and specialized equipment from the computer lab. Now, employees gave sworn statements that Utley and his other friends from IBM actually brought in a briefcase of cash into our computer lab, Dick, to entice employees to give up confidential information. I mean, this is just unbelievable. You can't even make this stuff up. And, well, since cross-posed loans were 2/3 SBA funds, they were again actually stealing not only from me and my company and the shareholders, Dick, but from the U.S. government, in addition to Iviewit, and filing fraudulent documents with the SBA, for example, to secure the stolen loans. Now, these guys file fraudulent documents with the U.S. Patent Office, fraudulent documents with the SBA, fraudulent documents with the court, fraudulent documents with bankruptcy courts, and it appears that the criminal enterprise has, again, a very well-orchestrated, well-architected criminal enterprise that runs through certain courts, certain regulators. You know, it's not the whole government's corrupt, Dick. It's a very small group of guys. We've looked at the coup very carefully, and when you look at them, they're very small, like Hitler's group, nothing but a bunch of thugs who, you know, gain power through perception. And that's what you've got going here. But anyways, again, further to nail them, we filed complaints next with the Securities and Exchange Commission. And those have a whole other story to them. They were filed after the Boca Raton Police Department told us that they had contacted the SEC regarding police reports we filed with them regarding the stolen funds, the briefcase of cash, the people being bribed, the stolen equipment. So we went to the Boca PD with that. They said they took it to the SEC, and they were working jointly together. And we believed them for a long time. But when we contacted the SEC directly, however, the people they said they were working with, Dick, it blew my mind. They wholly refuted the Boca Raton's police department's claims, stating they were never notified by Boca PD of anything. In fact, we were supposed to have a meeting arranged by the Boca PD with these SEC people, and when they were contacted about that meeting, they absolutely said they had never been contacted. They allowed me to use it in court filings, their names in court filings, and completely refuted the whole, this detective, I can't remember his name now, but Detective Fleckus, Robert Fleckus of the Boca Raton PD. Yeah, we went toe to toe. Once I found out, I, asked him how much of a briefcase he got or where his sailboat was, and he got all mad and in my face, and being 6'5", and me being, basically 5 foot. It was an interesting toe to toe off, but I was pretty pissed. So that took place in the Boca Raton Police Department, no less. Anyways, that entire fiasco led to an ongoing internal investigation, not only at the Boca PD, but at the SEC. And again, very complicated, schemes exposed, all reported to the proper authorities, and I'm sure those investigations are full steam ahead right now. And I'm sure all those who have obligations to be doing those investigations are doing such, Dick. Otherwise, they'll be defendants soon on their way to jail, possibly. So, anyways, we then filed SEC complaints regarding these matters directly, but with the new corruption that's been discovered in the SEC offices in these financial debacles, where the SEC and their faulty regulation or intentionally faulty regulation, as I would have it, our complaints may have been buried similar to Madoff's or Stanford's and the other schemes the SEC has had a blind eye towards. And like I said, I think it's an intentional blind eye by regulators who are coming from law firms who are running these RICO rackets and disabling the regulation. So, recently the SEC has become embroiled in scandal as all the regulators appear not only to be asleep at the wheel like they're trying to portray, as they get out of their crime